who has trained more than 5,000 GATE aspirants.
I have been training GATE aspirants, CAT aspirants, GMAT aspirants for last 7 years now. When I was in India, I have worked, in US for a couple of years during last 7 years, and I come on weekends. I recently, some 3 weeks back, I came to Perundurai on weekend to teach GATE students. So I have experience on that, on coaching students who prepare for GATE. Now, a lot of speakers spoke. They spoke about different aspects of, GATE and MTech. My experience of GATE, as I told you, is limited to coaching students for GATE, and I have not taken GATE till now. But I'll talk about two things today. The shift in technical education in India, how it has shifted from, mid of 2000, mid of last decade to mid of this decade. And also talk about how to prepare for GATE. I will not give you any gyan, but taking cues from these guys, right? I will just talk about what are the important, aspects when it comes to GATE preparation. Now, recently I was in Pan IIT conference. Pan IIT conference is, conference of all IIT alumni across the world. They come together to one of the IITs and they talk about several issues. Those who are from IIT Madras, since I have done electrical engineering, they must be knowing Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala, right? You've heard about him? Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala. So I will talk about Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala. Those of you who are doing your electrical engineering, Ashok Jhunjhunwala is one of the most famous professor in all of the IITs combined. He is in IIT Madras, and IIT Madras electrical engineering is one of the most revered, discipline in all of India. And when I was in IIT, I was staying in Ganga hostel, Hostel Ganga. That was one of the hostel where, MTech and BTech used to stay together. I don't know how it is now, but that time, MTech and BTech used to stay together. So few of the rooms were of people who were doing their BTech. A few of, rooms were allotted to people who were doing their MTech. Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala is also the inventor of WLL. You know about WLL? Electrical people? Wireless in local loop? Anyone? See, I want to make this interactive. So interact, do respond. How many of you are electrical engineers here? Electrical, electronics, raise your hand. All right, so have you heard about wireless in local loop? Have you heard about CDMA? CDMA? Yeah? So Professor Ashok Jhunjhunwala used this technology and he invented wireless in local loop. That was one of the major technology, in early 2000s, right? And he got a lot of royalty through that patent. At that time, he had some 25, 30 students working with him. Now, if you see the ratio of students in BTech to MTech, it's roughly 3:1. So for every 3 students, and I'm talking discipline-wise, for every 3 or 4 students in BTech, there is only 1 student in MTech. But out of the 25 students who were there working with him, around 17 students were the ones who were doing their MTech. Now, why such a difference? Well, my 4 years in IITs, and as Mr. Karthik said, the 4 years of BTech are very close to utter waste. My 4 years were also very close to utter waste academically. The only favorable outcome that was there was that I got a job. I ended up getting a job and I started working. But then, the 4 years of BTech, the students who do their BTech don't have that maturity, and don't have that advanced thought process to use those technical things in real life. So the practical application is close to zero. And that's why MTech is such an important, thing in technical education today in India, that its value is increasing every year. Now, as I was telling you, in the Pan IIT conference, I met a lot of professors and a lot of students. And I was told that this year, in fact last year, there were more than 10, 12 MTech students in several IITs who had admits from different institutions in US, University of Pennsylvania, right? University UPenn, North Carolina University, different admits from US, but didn't go there and chose IITs, chose to do MTech or MS from IITs, than doing MS from US. This is a big win, trust me. This is a very big win. The shift in technical education and the importance of doing masters in technical education in India has increased a lot in last 10, 12 years. And the credit goes to these guys, right, who chose IITs, who chose IIScs over institutions in US. And the credit goes to you guys who are preparing for MTech and MS to get into Indian institutions to do your masters. It's a big win, trust me. Now, I will talk about the job scenario. I go to IITs to recruit. I recently went to IIT Madras to recruit interns for Amazon. I work for Amazon. Amazon is one of the e-commerce company who sell stuff online. So I went to IIT Madras. And I'll talk about the shift there also. Earlier, what used to happen we used to hire a lot of BTechs than compared to MTechs. The simple reason being the ratio itself was very skewed. There were a lot of BTech students available than the MTech ones. Also, most of the MTech students prefer to do research, right? Later in their career, they prefer to do PhD, they prefer to do research, prefer to get into data sciences or machine learning. So, but we hired this time, last time when we hired in Amazon, and this was from computer science stream, we hired around 40 students, out of which 13 were MTech students, which is again a great thing. Now imagine the total number of students who will be doing computer science MS or MTech will be around 30, right? Not more than 30. Out of 30 students, 13 get placed in one of the biggest e-commerce company in the world. It doesn't stop here. GATE preparation is not limited to your MTech and MS. It also widens your thought process. Now as I told you, when you do your BTech, you are neither that matured, nor you have such developed thought process to use technical learnings in real life. Whereas when you do your MTech, when you do your PhD, your thought process is evolved enough to use that in real life. And that's what company needs from you. That's what the companies need. Now, I have seen the trend over the last few years. And I'll tell you, I believe in statistics, right? I being business analytics manager, I believe in statistics. And I'll give you some statistics, right? Last couple of years, I have seen a trend wherein companies like Yahoo, companies like VMware, companies like Flipkart, are asking the students who have done their BTech, their GATE score also. So if you have taken GATE, tell us the score. The reason being that there's a huge stress and there's a huge belief in the corporate world, and I'm only talking about corporate world, I'm not talking about the PSUs. The corporate world, when I say corporate world, I'm only talking about private companies. There's a huge belief, increasingly huge belief in these private companies about the validity and the traits that GATE tests, right? So if you score more than 95 percentile, or let's say more than 92, 93 percentile in GATE, you have a huge chance of getting into one of the top companies. So GATE score, see the first, if you ask me, the most important, aspiration when you take GATE, or the most important, outcome of a GATE exam should be getting into one of the premium institutions, because that's what you aspired for. But if it doesn't materialize, it doesn't mean end of life. You have a lot of things to do after that also. Now what is required when you prepare for GATE? A lot of people talk about 2-3 hours of study every day. A 2-3 hours of study every day for 6 months translates into, 6 months means 180 days. A 3 hours study, average 3 hours of study means 540 hours. A 540 hours for preparation of GATE, trust me, no one, if you prepare for 540 hours, and anyone in this world who prepares for 540 hours for GATE will not get less than 98 percentile. Trust me on that. Now GATE is a very different examination from the several other examinations like JEE or several undergraduate examinations. The reason being, GATE tests how much you have studied in your engineering, A, and B, your thought process. It's not a test of your intelligence. Well, you need to have threshold intelligence, but GATE is not a test of how intelligent you are. It's a test of how you think, whether you think clearly or not, whether you complicate things when you think. These are the traits which get tests. So 540 hours of study, anyone in this world, if he or she puts 540 hours, trust me, they are going to get more than 98 percentile. Unless and until, but those 540 hours have to be honest 540 hours. You cannot, you cannot do this. You come to home, right, start studying, after 5 minutes, you take a break of 10 minutes. Then after 10 minutes, you again, read some pages and again take a break of 10 minutes. Those 540 hours, and 540 hours is a very, very, very high estimate, right? I don't think anyone would have studied for 540 hours. So when I teach, I tell my students, study as much as you have studied in the coaching institute. So if you have 6 hours of class in a week, study for 6 hours at home. And if you do that, trust me, I can state this with 95% confidence that you will get more than 98 percentile. Trust me on that. It means you will get admit, if not admit, call from at least one of the IITs, one of the top 7 IITs in India. So, GATE preparation is about hard work. You will have to do some hard work. You will have to do some smart work also, right? It's important to understand your strengths and your weaknesses. It's important to understand what is important to study and what is not important to study, right? These things, these segmentations, needs to be done at your end. Also, what is important is to understand that why you are preparing for GATE, right? This PSU thing has, I've seen the statistics, and I've seen lot more people are taking GATE these days. The reason being that the PSUs are allowing GATE, people who have, cleared GATE or who have got good percentile in GATE to give interviews directly. Yeah, that's a swing, that's a huge swing, but the aspiration still should be to get admit in one of the IITs or the IISc. If you have that thing in mind, trust me, you will do well. You have to do 2 promises to yourself today. A, you will put in at least from now on, those who are GATE 2015 aspirant, you have, close to 6 months left. So you'll put at least 6 to 8 hours a week for GATE preparation alone. If you do that, you're going to do exceedingly well in GATE, trust me. And the second thing is, you have to ask yourself why you want to do GATE. The only aspiration which should be there for a serious GATE aspirant is to get into one of these premier institutions. If you don't end up getting in one of these this year, you can try it again next year, but you have several other options also in the current year. As I told you, you can get into one of the PSUs, you can get into one of the companies, you can, start teaching, right? So if you prepare well for GATE, there is one other thing that you can do. You can start teaching students in the weekend. That's what I do, right? So when I get time, I come here and teach students. I teach students in Bangalore. I basically work in Bangalore. So I teach students in Bangalore, Chennai, Coimbatore. So wherever I get an opportunity, I go and teach students. So my only suggestion to you will be, work hard, right? And have that focus, in mind. Remember, life is going to change after you do your MTech. Because the quality of job that you get after doing MTech is very different from the quality of job that you get after doing your BTech. Right? So that's one of the that should be one of the biggest motivation you should have. Also, if you do your MTech, you have chances of getting into entrepreneurship. We have an entrepreneur here, right? Mr. Karthik has started his own company. There is a strong reason behind that. Well, you can start a company at any point in your life, but as I told you, an MTech or an MS broadens your perspective about technical stuff. Remember, perfection is making the best effort within the constraint of space, time, and resources. You have a lot of time left. You have resources available in this city. And obviously, you know what you have to do, and that's why you are here. All the best.